And you're welcome back to the Pulse. After several negotiations with organised, the Labour government has agreed to increase base pay for the single spine structure in 2023 by 30%. The increment, which takes effect from January 1, is to help cushion workers in these difficult times. There's more in the following report by my colleague Michael Ashali.
In November 2022, the Labour Union wrote to government requesting 440% increase in their base pay for 2023. The union cited mainly the increased cost of living as justification for their demand. After 2 meetings, Labour was willing to bend.
Government progressed to 18. We also progressed to 65.
We've never been difficult. We've been considerate for years, and many things have gone wrong. So I think that is the time to right the wrongs. The single pay salary structure is the most indecent structure in this very country. You will never take anything below the 60%. We are not representing ourselves. We are representing our constituents. And we have to go back and inform our members who sent us to negotiate for them.
For government, it was a frustrating process.
Unfortunately, we have had to table something anytime we have met. But Labour insists on a figure. So we are going back and we'll reconvene.
Tensions were brewing, with none willing to yield to the demands of the other. Both parties broke into caucuses several times to deliberate further. But after 10 meetings in 2 months, a deal was finally reached. Here is Labour Minister Ignatius Bafo-Iwa.
The base pay has been increased by 30% for the 2023 financial year. The effective date of this is 1st January 2023. And as I said, this brings to an end the 2022 COLA of 15% of base pay salary.
But Ignatius Bafo-Iwa urged the workforce to increase their productivity.
What we also require of workers is also to increase their productivity and also work to justify this reward which is also coming to them. We are going to work together to ensure that our output at the workplace also increases. And we are charging Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to lead that course of monitoring what we do at the workplace and also coming out with measures to help us to be able to increase our productivity.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says agreeing to increase the base pay will take a toll on the finances of the country.
This is going to take a toll on the budget, but I'm confident that with enhanced productivity and the commitments that we both have given to each other to make sure that there is peace in this country as we look at pensions issues, labor issues, I think we've come to a satisfying conclusion. And I really would like to thank all of you for your commitment to that. Fiscal implications, of course, we'll have to work with that, but really the issue of a peaceful environment for us to work is something that we treasure, and we really applaud you for that going forward.
Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress TUC, Dr. Yao Ba, spoke on behalf of the labor unions.
This has been a very, very difficult negotiation. And we are happy that it has ended today. It's important that we speak the same language. And I'm sure the 30%, even though it is not what ideally we want, will create that opportunity for us to speak one language and work together to make sure our country recovers to where we were before the COVID hit us.
Both parties agreed that the 15% cost of living allowance should be discontinued. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
The reaction of organized labor to this. Let's get some more. And joining me now is Bernard J, his General Secretary for the Public Service Workers Union. Bernard, 60% is what you were asking for. Now you have 50% less of that. How are you feeling as organized labor? Kindly unmute for us, Bernard, so we can hear the points you're making.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Now we can hear
Can
you
you
loud
hear
and
me?
clear. Yes, loud and clear.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so I was just mentioning that as indicated by the Secretary General of the TUC, our basis and justifications for the 60% were very clear, were very apt. But of course, in every negotiations, you must try and end it at a point. And Mandela says, if you are not willing to compromise, then you don't even have to go and negotiate. So considering all the factors, the challenges the country is going through and all that, this is what we have been able to agree. We would accept it for now as we continue to work to make sure that public sector workers are adequately rewarded for the efforts of their labor.
But then what reaction are you getting from the local chapters within the Public Sector Workers Union? Because mind you, this is a time where you're experiencing inflation at a whopping 54.1% as of December last year. So some say it will be made, the figures may be eroded by the 30% increment. Bernard, if you can hear me, I'm just saying that the feeling out there is, given the level of inflation, that may erode what's been given to you now as a 30% rate. Hello, Bernard. Okay, we've lost Bernard J there. We'll try and get him back on. But of course, the decision of government now is to pay a 30% pay rise in terms of the base pay for public sector workers union, and not just them, but organized labor as a whole. But earlier we're talking about that good news for organized labor, 30% increment in base pay. Unfortunately, we lost Bernard J, who's the General Secretary of the Public Sector Workers Union. Fortunately, he's joining us back. And Bernard, I was just asking if, of course, 30% is okay with you, knowing that you've lost more than 50% of the entire value you were looking at. You were calling for a 60% increase in the base pay.
As I indicated earlier, this is negotiations, and in negotiations, there are several possibilities or outcomes that you could get. This is one of the outcomes, and the documentary you showed earlier indicated how difficult it had been, how tough it had been, the longest ever round of negotiation, the caucuses. It was indeed very difficult and tight. We could also not let our members down. So in the midst of all the factors and issues that were brought to the table for negotiations, we believe that this was the best, even though we wanted to get more than that. But we believe that as citizens of this country, we also hold the country dear at heart, and we will look forward to upcoming negotiations to see how we resolve the issue of low pay in this country.
What then happens to COLA, the cost of living allowances? That's also on my mind, knowing very well that that was an allowance just to cushion you, while you work at getting a rise in the base pay. Has government communicated its position on that allowance? Bernard? Okay. We'll have that conversation sometime later. But Bernard J is the General Secretary for the Public Sector Workers Union.